Yo, welcome to the course. My name is Thomas, and this is the course all about how to make low poly characters inside of Blender. So what will we be covering in this course? We will be covering how to model your character from the simple reference image that we added in, and then we're going to go over how to make the clothing and props for your character. Then we're going to go over how to rig it and weight paint it, which is basically telling what the rig will adjust of the mesh. And then we'll be going over materials to add color to your character, how to add some nice lighting and backgrounds and stuff to make it the final render look good, render it out, and then go to compositing to add some color correction and other stuff to make it look even better. So who is this course for? If you're brand new to Blender, this is not exactly what I would recommend. There are some courses, a course from Southern Shotty 3D, link down below, and I think it's a pretty decent course if you're new to Blender. If you're semi-intermediate, like you know the basics of Blender, you can use this course. You can always rewind if you mess up or don't understand something. So this is what my final result looked like, and you might be getting something similar to that. So if that looks cool, make sure to strap in and enjoy the course. Cheers. Okay, before we get into this course, I want to show you quickly what my settings are and what add-ons I have enabled. So first off, you go to edit preferences and then you can see what add-ons I have. So for this course, you're going to need Node Wrangler. You can see here, just enable that. Basically what this does, it just helps with when we're in the compositing and yeah. And then the other add-on I have is Loop Tools, which is also very useful. It's basically helpful for just the modeling process. As of what settings I use right click select and spacebar to play. You might have different ones, just you might be using left click select, but I'm using right click for this course. As of stuff that I've done custom, I've changed my mouse button, mouse 4, to be the little moving thing, so to change views. So that's why you might see this pop up every so often, like, and I can change like view camera and stuff. And then I also have camera to view set to mouse 5. You can find these in the settings or just F3 and saying like alarm camera to view. So like here, right click on it and add add shortcut or something, or view, something like that, and then you just gotta find them all. It would be by default this key will pop up on the screen right now. It should be below your escape key if you have a full size keyboard, so you can move it around, or just use 1, 3, and 7 on the numpad. Yo guys, so here we are over on the PC. Okay, so step 1 is you're also going to need to have a base image reference. So I'm going to be making a male one, so I will go find that now. Okay, so step 1, import a reference image. So I will go find one, and you click load reference image, and you can see here I have listed now. So I'm going to lower the opacity of this. So I'm going to take it to 0.2, and I'm going to put on my screencast keys so you can see what I am clicking. Okay, so step 1, drag this up, so GZ, and then GX to line up with the center of his body. Now go GY to drag it back, and then go to top view, Shift D, rotate it 90, and then GY. Okay, so import reference, and then go find your image, click on it, load reference image, and then go to opacity and change to something lower. I prefer 0.25. Okay, and then I go GZ, and then GX. Okay, and then once I have done this, I am going to go GY, drag it back, and then Shift D, rotate 90, go to side view, and yeah, cool, that is lined up now. Okay, so step 1 in this process is to go and make, well, first off, is just go Shift A and add a mesh cube. Okay, and once you add your cube, go to edit mode, and then GZ, drag it up to like its whole body, scale this down, and then go Control R and add a loop down the edge. Okay, now you're going to select the left side and X vertices. Go to the modifier side, add modifier mirror. Okay, so now what will happen is if you affect one side, it will be affected on the other. So that is quite useful, especially since we don't want to model each side of it. Okay, so Step 2 is to start forming the body. So we can also enable clipping, because if you don't have it, you can see that they can pull apart. So if you have clipping, they will stick in the center, which is also pretty useful. So now G, and we can start shaping it to the body. So G, we can extrude, and then get it like that. Okay, and then maybe add another one in this body. Drag this one down slightly, and then we can go to side view and start dragging these back on the y-axis, and also you can start rounding out the body a bit. Some parts will be flatter, like the back is a lot flatter than the front, and yeah, so there, maybe let's just adopt this one to be in the chest. Okay, and then this will be here, and then drag this back. I'm just using the guidelines, so you can see like this part will be like here, so you can kind of get the right shape. You can see over here, we can line that up on each side like this. Okay, and then we can start in the bottom, so there, and like here. Drag this out a bit more, and yeah, okay, so that's kind of like the basics of the body. So step 2 is to go and work on the pelvis part. So through this down, and then we can start shaping this for like the pelvis. So the legs are going to come out of here, so obviously, so yeah, let's get the right shape. Okay, that looks fun. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go add another edge loop down the side. Okay, what this does is just help us round out the body a bit. So we can go like select down this edge, drag it out on the X like that, and then we can select this edge and drag it in slightly like this. Okay, that just helps it add a bit more dimension. And then we get a 6-sided piece for the legs, because we don't have square legs. So next off, we're going to go select, well, let's just round this out a bit like this. So I'm just using G, and then we can select these two faces and go extrude. Well, firstly, turn off clipping, because if we extrude with clipping, then it'll just go in. I'll show you, it'll do like that, which you don't want. So turn off clipping and extrude out for the legs. So we're going to make our legs a bit further out. They're not going to be exactly in the center, because then it can also mess up with the mirror. So let's go extrude down to the knee and extrude down to the ankle. Okay, so in this case the reference image isn't exactly lined up, so it's actually kind of fun to follow it. So yeah, so let's just get like the right shape there and there, and then we can add some edge loops there, just add some more detail, maybe another one to add that little round part in the leg. That works. Let's add another one on the thigh, and then let's start not have him make the, well, not let him have these thick legs. Let's make him even a bit more muscular than the image here. Okay, and here, there. You might mess up the positioning of all the vertices when you're in side view if you're just freehanding them, so you might want to go back to front view and double check that you didn't mess it up that badly. Okay, so there, let's maybe add another one onto the legs. Okay, and then drag this out. Okay, so I'm just going to add an edge loop here. I kind of like the look of that ball, so I'm going to go to vertex select, I can G and then control and make it snap. Okay, I'm going to leave this side because we need to make the art. Go to back view, so kind of just change the shape of it. Turn clipping back on, by the way, and yeah, that looks good. Maybe let's drag this back a bit. Okay, and yeah, that is looking quite nice. Not so sure about this. bit better. And let's go work on the like shoulders, and then we can go do the arms. So for the shoulders, like for the neck, what we can do is we can go Control B and then bevel it out and press V, and you can see it will create a triangle like this. Okay, and it's going to be for like the neck. So let's go delete this. So X faces and use K for the knife tool, because as you can see right now we have a what's it, a 5-sided face. Is it 5? Yeah, 5-sided. So what we can do is go just J and J and then bevel this little, actually, oh okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go K and then we're going to split these down the mid-center of them like that. Okay, and then select this, and then what you're going to go is edit, preferences, add-ons, and then search loop tools like this. Okay, and click on the little box. So what you can do now is press W, loop tools, circle, and it'll create circle, and then okay, so now we have a circle, so we can just fix the rotation, and yeah, there we go. That's again a lot better to be in, well, part of a neck. So now we can go extrude this up for the neck, and yeah, okay. So that also actually drag this down a bit. Let's drag this up a bit for the muscle over here, and yeah, okay. Okay, that's looking quite nice. So let's go work on the arms right now. So as you can see, here is like the shape of the shoulder. So maybe we can just go with the knife tool to cut this out, like there. Okay, and that's kind of the shape we want. So now we can select this and go extrude out and put it there and start making a bit of a shoulder shape. This, okay? So let's do this at like the peak of the shoulder, and then we can extrude it down later for like the indent. Okay? Maybe we round this out a bit more. From top view, see if it looks fun. Okay, cool. And then we can go select this, extrude down, and then W, loop tools, circle, and then rotate this. And we can scale this down, and extrude down again, rotate, scale. We can scale this up, and rotate, scale, full. And then let's go add another edge loop here for like the shoulder, this part there. So let's just like smooth that in a bit. Okay. And then just drag these vertices in a bit. Because as you can see, they're like cutting into each other. Okay. Maybe drag this back a bit and drag these also back. And then rotate, or make this arm a bit more round over here. Okay. And then something I like to add is adding in another edge in the thing, the arm, just for a bicep and the tricep like this. Okay. We could drag this up a bit, or put it like that. And usually the bicep is more like on the side like this, so rotate it like there, and then the tricep will be more like that direction. Okay, so I usually find that looks quite nice, especially on the more muscular ones, and we'll kind of want to be going that direction because of the army guy. Okay, and then we can go now and also actually make this form a bit smaller. Just deselect that, scale down. Not sure if I kind of like these proportions in the reference image. Okay, that looks fun. And then let's go model the hands and feet next. Cool. Okay, so the last section of doing the character is to make the head, okay? So as you can see, we already have the neck protruding up here, so we can just go directly onto making the head. Okay, so step one is let's go just make a new object. So set your cursor to origin with Shift S, add in a cube, scales down to like the right size for the head, and then Control 2, or actually it's Control 1, okay? And you can apply the subdivision. So what Control 1 does is it adds a subdivision surface modifier with a subdivision of 1. So you can see here that it changes depending on what I press. Okay, so let's have it like this. So now we can delete the left half, add a mirror, and clipping. Okay, and then now we can start shaping this for the head. So we can also have to remember to line up the vertices, so like 1 to 1. So add the vertex, or actually, yeah. So what I usually do is I go like add in a jaw. So I go like knife tool here, and then knife tool to like here, and then there. Okay. So it's kind of scuffed in the beginning, but it will kind of make sense. So let's drag these pieces up, and then join this with J, delete these two faces, and then join these with F, like that, okay? So now you can see we kind of have a jaw shape going, and then let's go extrude this in. So this is for like the back of the head, you know, the like a little bump. I think that's part of your skull, and then so that's kind of what this is. As that helps when joining into the body. So let's extrude this vertice, and then we can delete this face and join it all together with F, and then F here to join there. Okay, so let's join these two together. So Control J, and then go to edit mode again. F, F, yeah, F. These two will join. Let's join these together with J. Yeah, and F. Okay, so you can see here that we have this part. So it'd be nice to add some more detail to the face. So let's just use a knife tool, drag it out there, and yeah. Okay, so this is way too wide. So let's start changing this. So we can drag this down for like the chin. Drag this in. Put it there. This is for the forehead. Okay, and then let's select this, drag it in, and there. Yeah, we'll work on this now. Go to backs view, drag this in. Okay, so let's drag these pieces out. Maybe drag the face out a bit. Make it a stronger jaw. Okay, that's looking quite nice. Yeah, okay. Okay guys, so that concludes the first part of the series. Well, okay guys, so that concludes the first part of the course, which is making the base mesh. Let's go for step 2. Okay, so here is, well, now let's start making the hands and feet, okay? So let's just go select these, and you can see they're not exactly round, so let's just loop tool, circle them again, and yeah, there, scale in on the X, and extrude down. We can go SZ0, and then that will make it flat on the Z axis, okay? And then now we're going to drag this down to like the bottom, drag this back for the back of the foot, and then let's see that it's kind of whack on the front. So sort it out like that. Okay, and then maybe drag this like this. Okay, let's select this face and extrude it out on the y-axis. GZ, drag this back. Okay, and as you can see, this looks nothing like what we want. So let's drag this out. So that's kind of where the toe should end. Okay, and then let's drag these all the way back. And then what I like to do is I go Control B and bevel the toe like this. I kind of found it does now sometimes. Let's go add another edge loop. And as you can see, if we add edge loops on either side, it doesn't go at the bottom and top, so we can just go J and J. Okay, and then now we can change the shape of the foot on the top and maybe drag it down like this. Maybe I think the tip of these toes are way too big. Drag this down. Maybe drag like that shape.
I'm coming now.
And maybe drag this back a bit. Maybe let's change the back of the foot. Maybe I think that's laid out too far. Yeah, that was pretty good. It'll be in shoes anyway, so it doesn't need to be too good, but whatever. Looks quite nice. Maybe drag this in. Yeah, that helps it quite a bit. And for the hands can usually be quite difficult. So I'll just okay. So hands can be quite difficult, so I'm just going to select these, and usually the way that you do it is I do them in a mid style, which looks like this. So I'll show you. So you can see here, this is what would be considered a mid style hand, which is basically, it just like goes down. So this is what a mid style hand would be. So you can see, so it's just like the basic of a hand, and then extrude out for the rest of the fingers in like a normal, so it's like having a hand like this. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be doing. So okay, so let's go back to this and let's start working on the hand. So you can see also it'll just like this part over here, and then I usually like to rotate this or scale out on the Y and then rotate and then drag this in. Okay, and that's like a good thing for the hand. So let's get it the right shape. Okay, and then usually, so we could do it like this for the hand. Okay, and then we're going to extrude out like this. Okay, that looks kind of good, and then extrude out again for the third part. Okay, so as you can see, this is kind of going off in a random direction, so let's just bring this, scale it down. So there, so let's drag this out, and remember the hand, the shape hand of a shape of a hand, and let's get it like this. Okay, and drag this down and in like that. Okay, and then let's drag this like that. Okay, and then let's extrude here and then rotate and then G to a slide. Okay, so let's drag this up and then let's select these J. Okay, that just helps it fix it a bit. And you can select this face, and it's going to be for the thumb, so we just scale this in a bit and then extrude down like that. Okay, and then if you're not happy with how like rectangular it is, we can just select these, do tool circle. Only really helps one at a time. So there and there. Okay, sorry, I didn't have my shortcut keys on. And yeah, okay, so there you go, there are the hands. So maybe, I think these are way too low, so let's drag it up a bit. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'll just quickly change the base mesh a little bit, and I think it's looking a bit better. So do the same thing. So just select the path that you want for the pants. Okay, and if you select something that you don't want, you can just use the same tool and then middle click to deselect. Okay, and you can Shift D P by selection. Okay, now that we have this, I can just go. Oh wait, messed up a bit. Shift D P by selection. Okay. So now that we have this, we can go and add the solidify back on. And then I'm going to drag the waistline of these pants down. So I'm just pressing G twice to edge slide. So let's drag it to here. Okay. Actually, I think we need to drag it up a bit more. I think we dragged it out too much. Okay. That's good. And then now we can go add a solidify back in. So there, drag it up. Okay. Okay, so to make the shirt, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Just C, select the whole body, or the part that we want. Okay, I selected a bit too much. Middle click, add that back in, remove these. Okay, Shift D, P by selection. And then we can go select these, maybe rotate scale, extrude it down, maybe, or just G. We don't want these, well, these will be tucking into the pants, so let's just change that. Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna go with an extrude down. Looks a bit better. Okay. That works. And then let's just drag these out a bit. Sides. And here. Okay. And then we can go add in a solidifier. Just make it a bit there. And then maybe just smooth out all the muscles a bit. Like that. So it doesn't look as fitted, because you can see this jacket is not exactly that fitted. Yeah, that's looking quite nice. There. Okay. I'm just gonna change. Well, yeah, let's go with the same thing, having like the rolled up sleeves. Let's go to like here. Okay. And then let's scale this up a bit. And then usually the way I make rolled up sleeves, well, you can click this little button so you can see all the vertices properly. I'll just go extrude and then scale. And then just GG to slide. And then leave this one like that, so it like has the same thing. Maybe scale this down a bit. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Cool. So that is kind of the, well, firstly, before we do that, let's just define the neckline a bit more. Just using the edge slide. Okay. So as you can see, it sometimes gives some errors, so I guess you could like blow it up, make it higher a bit, or just go join. Just drag up the slid file maybe. So just get an error because with this piece you can see, I guess we could just press J over here, that will help it. If we selected these two vertices and joined them, as you can see like that, that all looks quite a bit nicer, and also make sure that we don't have interference with the shirt, okay? And yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to drag these over the pants, over the shirt. Yeah, okay, that fits in quite nicely. So let's go add in the bulletproof vest now. So we can just select this one, the shirt, Shift D, and then go to, well, firstly apply the mirror modifier, and then we can go to solidify, click only rim, which basically means that there won't be two layers, because if I show you right now, if I take this, you can see like with the wireframe that there's two layers. There's like a face on this side and this side. So if you have it only rim, you can see it doesn't have the inside. So we can apply this again, and then now this will be our base for making the bulletproof vest. So you can delete the whole shoulder portion and the middle of the arm, so like that, and then select the bottom of it. So you can do the same thing to mirror modify it. Just delete the left half, add a mirror, and there you go. Okay, so now just clean this up. Maybe leave that in, just edge start it. Actually, never mind. Let's just keep this. I'm going to use K for the knife tool so that we can cut. So it's just left clicks. Sometimes it gets messed up and doesn't want to snap to it, the edges anymore. So then you just have to enter to apply it, and then just start it again with pressing K again. There you go. So I cut around that whole loop. So now I'm just going to select all these edges. As you can see, I selected one from behind, which we don't want. There. Okay, that looks like all the faces. Delete faces. Okay, there's one more that I didn't get. Yeah. And then let's just drag this down. Oh, let's just drag these in a bit. Let's also delete this edge in the middle. Okay, and then edge start again. And then maybe let's just delete this bottom edge. Okay, let's go add the solidify modifier then, and thicken this up. Okay, let's drag that out. Yeah, okay. There you go. We have the bulletproof vest, the shirt, and the pants. So next off, let's go work on the hands, gloves, and the boots. Wait, the gloves, the helmet, and the boots. See you in that lecture. Okay, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do the head, the gloves, and the feet. Let's go. Okay, so this is going to be much of the same process as other ones. So just select the hand, Shift-D, P, bar selection. And then we add a solidify modifier. And then, wait, I don't think I selected the hand properly. So let's do this again. Get everything, Shift-D, P, selection, add a solidify. Okay. If you wanted to add details like straps or stuff, you could do that. So just applying the modifier. So I think this might be a bit too thick. So we apply solidify. It doesn't, I change it to only rim. It's usually more useful. And then we could go add like an edge loop or something, or just use the knife tool like this. And then like other side, like you'd probably go through the entire thing and then extrude it out. Well, I'll just go through that. So you can see it kind of goes all the way around. So like there, so just going through. Okay. To have to make your way around. Don't know what that just got through. Maybe just hard, because it goes underneath, and then hard that. Go back to edit mode. Okay, so we're gonna cut here. It's okay. There. And then okay. There. Okay. For some reason I brought editing on, so whatever. Okay, so now we can unhard the thumb, and then we can take this over here. There. Okay. And then there. Okay. And then we can select that whole edge with Alt Shift. Wait. Alt Shift left click, or right click, and then extrude, or just Shift D P by selection and add a solidify modifier. Okay, and there you go, you have like a strap on top of it. Okay, so yeah, that's how you add that in, and then we can unhard the body mesh. Next off, shoes, you could leave it very much similar to these feet, so just same thing. Just you can just use Alt S to scale it up a bit because you don't really need a solidifier, and then just take this bottom, extrude it down, and just change the shape slightly. Usually just rotate like there, and the back, rotate it or push it out like that. Maybe drag this back. Yep, and then yeah, okay, cool. So this is my shoes, and then for the helmet, we can just take the head. So just select like the face like this, or actually let's take the back as well. Shift P, and then add, well, it's just Alt S to scale up. This is also shrink fatten, slightly different, more useful in this case. And then we can just edge start it into a shape, or edge start will just move into a shape we kind of like. Okay, add solidify as always, and then yeah, we're not going to add the glasses in right now. We can just leave it like this. Okay. Okay, quickly, I wanted to add in some pockets like they have on the vest that they have. So I'm going to close the button of the solidify modifier again, and then let's just do the same thing. Shift D P and G, edge slide, and we just get like a basic shape for all the pockets that we want to add in, and then we can solidify this. Okay, so just apply the mirror, click on only rim on the first solidify, and then just go delete the edge of this one, delete the vertices. Okay, and then now what we can do is press R and then R again. Okay, so insert it like that, and then Control R, and you can see it deletes all the edge vertices, and then delete. Okay, so now we have a bunch of different squares to work with. So now we can just start changing them to random pocket shapes. If you want to, another way, instead of using the mirror modifier, you just click on this little button up here, options, and then mirror, and you can see if we move it, it changes. Okay, so let's actually, I'm just going to split this one in half. Okay, this is where the mirror modifier is better. It does not affect it if it has like, if you add like edge loops or whatever. So I'm just going to delete these, add in a actual mirror modifier. Okay, so we can just make these slightly bigger. Let's just use face snap, it's going to be quite useful for this. And then we can delete this face. This is going to be just a bunch of different pockets. Same thing, you can even just bevel it to get a smaller thing, and yeah. So I'm going to just make, I'm just going to delete these top two, and then I'm going to make this one into like a nice big pocket somewhere. Maybe if we put a clipping, I'll put it here, drag the mirror above it so that the solidify works afterwards. Make it like a nice big pocket. Okay, let's make this one taller. Okay, so you have these now, and then so what we can do now is apply this, or apply both of them, change to only rim, and then just select all these like front edges, Let's just mirror modify this again. Mirror, and then select all of these, put clipping on, and extrude out. Okay, this is just for like the pocket, the lid of the pocket, or the flap, whatever. So you can just extrude it in, or just get the shape of them all like this. I'm just going to leave this one without one. Not a necessary addition to it, because sometimes they have it like poking out the top. So, like say we wanted like an ammo clip or something to be in here, like this guy. So then we could just like, I don't know, add in a cylinder, change the 6 vertices, scale this down, go to object mode, put this in the pocket, like that, and then Shift D. Don't exactly know what this is, but whatever. There you go, and maybe we could just mirror and select this cube bar thingy as the mirror. Do the same on this one. There. Okay, and now it's mirrored. And yeah, there you go. You have pockets on your character. Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do the hair of your character. So I'm just going to hide this helmet quickly, and it's going to be mainly the same process. So we're going to select any parts of the body that we want to add hair to. So right now I'm going to do the hair, and then maybe later I'll add like a beard like it is in the character. So add a solidifier, and basically, so you can just click on this button, so it shows up the vertices on both sides in edit mode, and then edge slide it to get like a nice, well, like a good hairline. I kind of want to just, so let's go to here, change to face, and then extrude and control to snap to the face. To change this, so we can just snap here. Change to edge snapping, so we can snap to this edge, because we want to do it there. And then maybe add an edge loop over here. Select all 4 faces, F to join. Let's change to vertex snap and snap it to this vertex. I'll just snap it here. Turn off clipping because that's messing it up right now. Turn it back on. And then we can go back to face, snap, drag it down. And then, yeah. So I like to go a bit more complicated sometimes with sculpt like this. Sometimes you just go more simple. But yeah, sometimes it looks quite nice. Okay. So let's just drag this back. We can extrude these down. Drag them in. So let's go back view. And then drag it in. Okay. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, you have some hair. You can do the same thing for a beard. So just select like these 2 pieces, Shift E, P, and then drag this down. Maybe just leave it like that. Maybe just extrude out like this with edge select, with vertex snap. Okay, and then just edge slide it in. Okay, add a solidifier. I'm probably going to want to add the, I don't know what the top of the mustache part. So select the face again, Shift D, P. Just shape it like this, okay? And then like this, or let's just drag this edge down. No, just inset. Press B for boundary. Don't know how that doesn't work. You can just add edge loops. Control R, faces. Change the shape slightly. And then solidify. Okay, and there you go. Okay, now we're going to be doing some materials on our character. So all you have to do to set up materials is, I'm just going to go to shading tab. If you want to do that, you can just like split your view in half. Well, let's do it like this, and then shading, shader editor over here. select this, or select any object you want to add material to, and press the new button. Okay, so now you can see it pops up with a node group over here, well, nodes, and you can go to material preview just for the shading part. So now we can start using selecting colors, and then use the eyedropper, so you can like choose it off here. So maybe just change the roughness all the way to 1. Let's just make all of these the same one. So just choose the material. Let's make these two like a green metal. So like that. Make it like there. So it's like an olive green. Select them both selected. It's metal, kind of rough. It doesn't really show up anyway. So let's just leave it green. Metal colors don't really show up that well in low poly. So I prefer just use like solid rough colors. Yeah, so let's just add like a green color, change the roughness to 1, just make the pants like a green yellow. That works. Okay, and then we can select the character if you want to make a, so I'll show you how to make 2 different skin colors. So if you want to make a white skin color, you can change it to be like a peach color, and then add some subsurface and change the subsurface color to red, and you can see that will make it a white color. Maybe make it a bit there. Okay, and that's how you create like a white skin color. If you want to make it a black, ethnic, whatever, you can change it to like an orange, make it darker, change the subsurface slightly, and yeah, so maybe that looks a bit too red. So like that, and yeah, so that's how you make 2 different skin colors. So yeah, so now for hair, so I'll just go for like a blonde. So actually blonde's kind of hard color to pick. So like if I'm doing a blonde, I usually find like a color palette online. So we can just choose a hair color. So I just chose a brown, change roughness, and then we can select the same thing for the beard and the mustache. Okay, and then you can see for the gloves, so maybe just make it like just like olive green, or just change it to like a black. If you want to change specific parts, so like just say the tips of the fingers, and then add the new material, change the color to this olive green sun, and you can see now the tips are a different color to the rest. Okay, and then you could also do that with like the pants, say if you wanted to like split it in half, create a new material, or just choose another previous one, just like that. Don't know why you would need to do that, but yeah, just break up the visual interest, whatever. And then yeah, so now we can go add a so for the color for the boots. So let me see, they're probably also just like black or brown, so let's just choose like a brown color, and then we can maybe add the same olive color in here, which is material 008. And yeah, so you'll probably want to spend a bit more time picking a nice color palette and stuff for your character. But yeah, so that's the basics. Maybe even like changing some of the pockets. Just press new, change like a color like that. I don't know, that actually quite helps a bit. And yeah, so that is materials for your character. One thing I forgot about was the helmet, so we could just choose a color for that. So I'll just press Alt H to unhide it, and maybe just give it like the same color as the pants. I think actually let's switch the color of the jacket and the pants, and then maybe make this a bit darker. Yeah, I quite like that color palette. Yeah, so just mess around with it until you get something that you like. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have finished weight painting, we can get on to doing a like send up a pose and then rendering after that. Okay, so you can already see that we already have Okay, wait, that's the problem with the waypaint. Sort out that briefly. You can see I just removed it over there. So I'm just gonna go draw onto it. For some reason working. There's supply sounds over there. Okay, cool. So now let me just teach you how to pose your characters. So if you know how to do movement and stuff inside the blender, like move stuff and rotate, then you kind of know already how to pose. So something that can be useful is you go to viewport display and in front in the armature tab. So now you can see all the bones are on top. So what you can do is like start posing. So you select bones if you're in pose mode. So once you select it, just click pose mode or control tab. And then now you can just start like rotating stuff. And yeah, like this. You can see like there. So you want to get like a split stance like there. You can rotate the foot. And then rotate this on the Z like that. Okay. 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 So there, pose the legs, then like pose the arms. Maybe you want to have like a cycle and then have like the face look at you. Okay. So that's go to tail preview. Okay, that's a decent pose. And then next off, we're gonna just go Shift A, add a camera, and then what you can do is press Control Alt 0. I've keybounded it to my mouse, so I could just do that. And you can go to View, Navigation, Walk Navigation, right click on it, and change shortcut and set it to Shift F. And then you can click on Shift F, and it'll pop into this view, and you can use your mouse to move, and then W, A, S, and D to move around, and then E to go up and Q to go down. And then if you wanted to go like faster or slower the movement, just scroll with the mouse wheel. Okay, just get like a position that you like. I'm just going to set it to like I think with the resolution to 1080 by 1080. You can also change the focal length if you want. I'm going to change it like 70 mil. Okay, like that. And then you can go into rendered mode. So by default, it looks like this. Well, actually, it will look like this. Okay. So what you can do is you can put in a HDRI, and well, actually, what yours will look like is like this. So what you can do is you can put in an HDRI, which basically what that is you can click on this colored thing, environment texture, and then open. What you want to do is, I don't know what the site's called, but look up HDRI Haven and go download an HDRI from there, and then you can press open. I have HDRI folder, so you can see the file type is HDR, and then basically it's a 360-degree image with color, with light information, so that it can actually light your scene with like actual shadows and lights, which won't happen if you use a normal PNG. So now we have like our whole like basic lighting. So I'm going to change it to like 0.5, and then I'm going to go to the camera and click on transparent. So you can see here it's the whole like 360 image. Click on transparent, just so it removes the background. Okay. So I'm just going to click on render region. By the way, I have to change from Eevee to Zarkles. That's why it's taken a while to render. I've changed the viewport samples to 10. And then added a viewport denoise. Sometimes this can crash your Blender, so make sure you save before enabling viewport. You can, like when you deselected it, I changed my open image denoise because I don't have a GPU that can support the optics. If I do, or I just leave it on automatic, it literally crashes my PC. So be careful with that. Make sure to save it beforehand, if in case you don't lose your whole project. So once you have this, so now it's just denoising it, whatever, so you can get a nice viewport display. I'm going to split my scene in half, and then I'm just going to change this to material preview and click on scene last and world, just so that for now we can actually see what we're rendering without it like completely bugging out. So I'm going to add a light over here. Maybe actually let's rotate it like that. You can just RR to get it like a freehand rotation. I'm just going to set up 2 lamps. So this is both area lamps. There's shift A area, and then you can see, because render on the left, you can see that some lighting. So let's just bump up this strength. So in the lighting tab, let's change to 100 maybe. Okay, and you can set the room lights in the background. Let's change it to 100 and scale it down a bit. You can change the position till the light's actually affecting the character. Maybe make it even brighter. And maybe change the color slightly and make it like a bluish. Okay. And there you go. You got like a basic lighting for your character. So now if you want to add in like a background, you could go do it like Photoshop or whatever. But let's just add, or like a whole scene. But let's add a background. So let's add in a plane and add object constraint, copy rotation, changes, and click on change to camera. Okay. So now it will say it'll have the same rotation as the camera. So if we put this in the background, this is GZZ, and then you can see it's too small now. So now we have a plane for the background. So let's go to shading and set up like a procedural material for this. So I'm gonna drag it work further, and then I'm gonna go add a gradient, and then I'm just going to, so what you can do is go to edit preferences, add-ons, look up, what's it, node wrangler, click in the little box to enable it. And what you can do now is you can control shift left click, and it will automatically pop in the texture into a viewer, which just makes it easier to view it. So now, and what you can also do is press Control T, and that will pop up with these 2 nodes, and then you can affect the gradient like this. Okay. Let's change it from linear to a quadratic sphere. So now you get a circle. So let's just change the location. I'm just holding shift. Let's also just apply the scale. Sometimes that helps. Yeah. And then drag this up. Okay. So now we have a sphere. So let's go click on this one, Control Shift left click, and then plug the color from the gradient into the principal BSDF. Okay. Not exactly on center. Whatever. Okay. Now we can go add a color ramp. So shift A color ramp, or search color ramp. And then now we can affect the colors of this gradient. So you can select change the thingies. So I'm gonna make it like a dark blue color, desaturated blue, and then the center will be like a, or we can change to like a leave it white, and then the middle make it like another blue color. Let's bring the whites up a bit. Or we can just leave it like this with these colors, and then add in a light point, drag it in front of the plane, drag it behind the character, like this, and then drag up the power. Let me just make it even brighter, like 1000. Yeah, and then you see you have like a nice background for your character. So now you can change the color to anything. I mean, it could even be a base color, but whatever. I mean, like it's one single color, but whatever. You just change like the roughness and specular. You don't want lights to affect it as much. But yeah, and then now, so you can see we have like quite a nice image right now. So to set this up for like a final render, you can also change the color management and use curves. So if you want to change the colors now, so like this, okay, that's looking quite nice. Or you could just leave it like this, and we'll do compositing in the next one. So what you want to do is, I'll usually set my samples to 100, and denoising, click on render and default NLM. Okay, so that's my usual settings: PNG, compression 0, color depth 16, resolution 1080 by 1080, and yeah. So we can go render image. This is probably going to make the recording lag a bit, but yeah, this is render. Okay, so now you can see it's rendered out completely, and now we can do some compositing. So let's just close this out. Don't worry, you're not going to lose it. Still be able to get it later. So let's go to compositing, and you can see just has this big default thingy. So you can just click on use nodes, and you can see here's your render image. So I'm going to just drag this thingy down because we don't need it. Split this in half and change this to a image editor, and change it to render results. So you can see here's your image. If you want to save it right now and not have to do compositing, just click on image, save as, and then name it. So like what's it, render, whatever. Save as image, and then we can just carry on to compositing. So I'm going to change this to a viewer node. So what happens if you just Control Shift left click, you'll pop up with a viewer. I don't want to see this right now. Just disconnect it. And yeah, so what happens right now is this is what like we rendered out, and this is what has happened in the compositor. So I'm just going to go Alt and then Alt, no, what is it? Shift and right click and joins them together. So you can just move this one, and then we can just add our nodes on here. So what you can do now is you could go add a glare or something if you wanted to add like some glow. Doesn't work that much because we don't have much super bright stuff. But yeah, so if you had like a light on the background, like if you change the lighting slightly, might work, but it doesn't really work right here. If you want to add some color grading, there's a couple things that you could do. There's a color balance, which pulls up this node, so you can just change. This is so you can see this like the darks of the image. You can change the color of them. This you can see if you want to make the darks a bit bluer, make like the highlights a bit oranger and brighter, and the middle a bit like that. I don't really like it being that blue. Okay, like that. And then you could go color. You could do a color correction. I don't really like that node. You could use RGB curves, which is quite nice. Same thing as like color management. So you can just change it with curves and stuff. Yeah, I quite like the color balance one. You could also, if you wanted to add like a vignette to your image, you could go add a mask and change it to a ellipse mask. With this, if you go Control Shift right click, you can see it's just a circle. Well, really a circle, it's a ellipse. To change the width and the height. Yeah, okay. Make it taller. Okay, and then what this does is we can add a blur and then drag the X and Y up like this. Maybe drag down the width and height. Okay, what happens now is if we plug this back in, we can just move these forward and then add a wait, oh, it's a mix node. And then you can put this one as the bottom one, the blur, and then change it to a multiply. Okay, and then you can just change down the FAC, and yeah, so you can see that just adds a vignette to your image. You can see like this is with it and this is without it. So yeah, if you just want to add that in later, you could also make that like a blur. So you could change that to blur. Wait, so you have a blur here. So then you plug in one image. So you plug the image into here. So you have a blurry version. So like this or something. And then you plug that into the bottom of this multiplier. And then you change the FAC to the blur. So okay, we need to invert this. Wait. Like that. So you can see like the center is not blurred and then the outside is blurred, so you'd want to change the width and height of this. For some reason blurry super weirdly saturated. Don't know why, but yeah. So that's kind of one way you can do it. Probably have a better oh yeah, I think it's the multiplier. Yeah, if you mix it. So let's just drag the width down so you can see the outside's again a bit blurred. But yeah, so you can kind of get an image that you want. I'm not going to do the blur. I'm going to add the, actually, let's actually just do the blur. Blur, image to image, image to image. Change this to like 100. Maybe not that much, just make it like 20 to 10. And drag up. Or maybe because we have it like the head at the top, so let's just drag it up on the wire like that. And you can see that the bottom is blurred, and yeah, I quite like that. And yeah, so then we could just go image, save as, and then like render composite, whatever, probably misspelled that. But yeah, that is compositing. Yo guys, and welcome back to, yo guys, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you, in this video, we're going to be covering how to rig your character. Okay, so step one is the quickest way to rig a character is just go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and then search for rigger file like this. Okay, and you can just click on the little box to enable it. Once you've enabled it, you can go to armature and basic human. Okay, so you see it pops up with this character, or like rig, whatever. So I'm just going to scale it up to the size of my character, and then, well, usually you could probably just scale your character down to it. So let's just do that. So let's just Control R to deselect everything other than the rig. Change the pivot point to 3D cursor, so you can press the period key on your keyboard, or just click here and change it to 3D cursor. Okay, and then what you can do is just scale down till it's the same size as the thingy. Okay. What happens now is if we go press Control A, select one of them, Control A Visual Geometry to Mesh, or Control A Scale, you can see all the all the solidify modifiers change. So I guess we could apply all our modifiers, but we can just whatever. Let's just leave it Alt S. We'll just undo, change it back, size back, and then we can just scale this up, apply it. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go to edit mode, click on this little button and turn on x-axis mirror, which means that if you edit one side, it'll edit on the other side. Okay, so now we can start shaping the bones to the character. So what I like doing is just hardening everything. Let's deselect the rig and the character, and then you can just like select parts of the character that you want. So like this would be the wrist, then Shift S and cursor to selected. And in edit mode, you can just Shift S selection to cursor, so just make sure that's in the center of the character. It can take some time, but definitely recommend it to get the best result. So we don't need this many bones on the neck, so we can just dissolve bones in the center. So we just have one neck bone, one bone for the head. You can probably like dissolve a couple of these on the body. So just make it like 2, or let's just subdivide it, and we have 3. Subdivide. Okay, so now we have 3 bones on the body. They're like 5 or whatever it was. I'm gonna delete these 2, the pelvis ones, the leg bones, and the chest one. Okay, and yeah, so I'm just gonna delete these 2 bones in the back. Well, it's just one, at least on the other side. And that's basically all the bones we're gonna add, except what we're gonna add some more into the hands. So I'm just getting it to the right position for each part, drag it into the knee, drag it back into the middle of the foot. There, maybe drag it in. Then we can go select here. So we can just alt right click or alt select. Shift S goes to selected, and then select send. Put it there. Same thing again. Extrude. Shift S select the cursor. I'm just going to select this part. Shift S select goes to selected. So E. Shift S selection to cursor. Okay. Then do the same thing for the thumb. So we're going to just select like these 4 vertices. Select the cursor. Main cursor selected. shift S, actually cursor, so on, so on, so on. Okay, so it's just doing the same thing, and then we go to the end. Actually, I'm going to take this bone, this point. I can select it. There. Okay, that's good. We also need to name these all because we want some sort of naming convention. So let's just fix this quickly. Suspend. Let's just make this pelvis. Tummy. Or just give it a new name. Doesn't matter that much for these parts. Just could have named torso, neck, head, arm, forearm, hand. This is going to be upper finger. L. Oh, I like remove that. Finger, base. Dot L. Finger, tip. Dot L. Thumb, base. Dot L. And then thumb, tip. Dot L. Yeah, okay. And then what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna delete this hand on the left, or the side, which is actually the right. And then just select all of these fingers and thumb, and then just go. Let's just set the cursor to world origin, and then go to Shifty, no, Armature, and Symmetrize. Okay, and then you can see here that all the fingers now have .r for the right side. Okay. Now I think all of these are named properly. Yeah. Okay. So now we can go on to weight painting. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you how to do weight painting. So for weight painting is basically applying certain parts of the mesh to the bone. So right now, Blender doesn't know what parts of this mesh to move as per like with this bone. So we got to tell it how to do that. So what you can do just to start off is select your, you can just Alt H to unhide everything. I just have the reference images and the lights. So what you can do now is just select everything and then the bone. So make sure the bone is highlighted in yellow, and then Control P and with automatic weight. Okay. So as you can see now, if we select the armature and go into, so if we select the armature, go to Control Tab to go into pose mode, and then we can see now if we start like moving and stuff, you can see it starts going, and that's nice. So as you can see, like some of it's not weight weighted correctly, so you can see like it's affecting like this part of the arm and some of these pouches, which is not good. So let's go to edit mode of the pouches, and then we can go to. So firstly, let me show you. So you can see it says weight paint. If you go to weight paint mode, so I go in Control Tab, weight paint. If I go to, or firstly, go to this little button and then symmetry and press X. That's useful. You can see here, if I go to forearm, you can see that the green part is affecting it. So if I go to edit mode, vertex groups is also considered like the weight paint. So you can just go to edit mode, select what you don't want, and press remove. And you can see now they aren't green. So you can change it on the upper arm, maybe hand, nothing there, but you never know. Shoulder, nothing there. Okay. Now you can see if this is rotated, it doesn't affect the pouch. So we also don't want to affect the vest as much because the vest is supposed to like stand still. So we can go up to forearm. Let's do it anyway. Just remove upper arm. Okay. And then do the same thing with the body. So let's just select the side of it. Let's just hide this bulletproof vest. And then maybe just apply, we'll put this on this so you can like select the vertices properly. Okay. And then maybe select the inside and then remove it from forearm and upper arm. We selected these, no one. And then we can do the same thing from the body. So just put these on in the edit mode. So that means that we can see how it's affected. And then go back here to what's it? Object data properties, forearm, L, remove. Okay. As I can see, that's looking better. Most of the time, you won't usually lift your arms up that hard because you'll use the shoulder bone. That'll make it look better. Let's actually go back to the outliner and then click on this little button and then click on the monitor, and then we can hide the lights and the images. So if we Alt H, you can see it only brings back our bulletproof vest. Okay, so we don't want it to be constantly having to hide all the reference images and stuff. Okay, and these little buttons, whatever they're called, let's just remove those as well. So forearm that L, upper arm, do the other one, forearm, upper arm. What else has it been affected by? Hand? Yeah, okay. So now let's first remove hand from here. Let's see what's affecting it. Okay, thumb's affecting that one. See if thumb does it on any of these. No, okay. So now if we start posing like this, okay, so you can see the bottom is affected, which you don't really want that much. So maybe we can remove, so just remove the chest from these. I'll make it a bit more accurate. Let's check. Let's just actually just rename this to torso. So that doesn't seem to work that well. What actually might be useful is if we just combine these and then combine them to the jacket. So just pressing Ctrl J. So just select only room on the thingy and then apply the solidifier. Well, apply the mirror, then solidify, apply. And then you can select these and on here, delete the left side, add the mirror back in, and then select these two, Ctrl J. Okay. And then if we run the automatic weights, I just fix the arms again. I don't think that actually helps at all. Let's just undo all of that. But yeah, it just helps a bit with weight painting. But yeah, so let's just select this bottom part. This is going to be completely affected by the pelvis. Let's remove this upper part of it. Remove it from torso and chest. And then actually this whole part should be affected by torso. Yeah. And then this part up here should be affected by chest. Okay. So select chest, it's on. Put the mirror modifier before the armature. So we don't get the bugs like that. Okay. So let's just remove like this bottom one from the torso chest. Okay, we just want to change the t-shirt or the shirt. Remove some of that from torso. Maybe you could leave this top on. Torso, remove. That shouldn't be affecting it that much. Okay, that's looking quite nice. Let's check the head, see if those are working fine. Okay, so the beard and helmets aren't being affected by the neck, which is good. You can see the neck is slightly weird with the head, so maybe we can clean up that. So go to head, and then just, you can go to wireframe, that helps quite a bit. Go to subtract. This is the other way of changing weight paint, so just doing it like this. The head shouldn't be changing it that much. Well, I guess it could be, but I just like the look of it better without it doing that. Maybe just let it affect this part. So we're just going to draw. Shift F, drag it lower. Okay. So you can see right now the neck's been affected more than like the other parts of it. So maybe we just go to weight paints and add a little bit on there to with neck. Go to draw and just add a bit. Okay. Maybe to paint it a bit more. So we don't get any more clipping. Okay. I think we also just need to remove a little bit from the neck of body. So on neck, go to subtract. Make sure that it's infecting too much of the body. You can also change how much it affects it with Shift F. Okay. Maybe also change it a bit on the vest. So it should be affecting that far down the body. And then maybe it should be affected slightly over here. Okay, that looks good. I think we need to change this a bit. I think, oh wait, I think we need to change it on the t-shirt. Because it's been pushed down, so that's why it's clipping through. Okay, that looks good. Let's change the shoulder weight paints now. So you can see like the shirt and the body is affected more than the t-shirt and thingy. So let's go to shoulder L. What else can happen is like if you have interfering weight paints. Wait, okay. And then let's go shoulder. Anything else affecting it that much? Also chest. Okay, so let's remove a little bit from chest. So from the top, like these places. We're gonna take it down to blue. But they're parented to each other, so kind of fun if we move the weight paint from it. And then let's change, or let's make it affected less. Make it blue, whatever. Because the shoulders are parented to that bone, so it won't. You can basically just remove it all. So go to weight paint again. Actually, let's leave it at the center. Doesn't affect it. Okay, that's good. Let's maybe change the shirt a bit as well. Change the chest. Subtract a bit around the neck or the sides. So like this. Just change the weight paint on the body. Let's go back to the shirt. Let's add some more here. Because we don't want it to clip through the other clothing. Wait, there's the neck. Neck to the breeze that's clipping. No, not at all. And we could even add more to it. Let's make it a clip. Maybe see. Just change things and see if it helps the clipping. I'll get clipping through. Maybe actually I think if we subtract a bit. Or maybe if we change the weight paint on the body. Whatever, it's fine for now. Maybe we can just change the model a bit. What does it look like if we alter? That's fine. Actually looks a bit better when it's floating anyway. Turn off the snapping as it helps when you're moving it. Okay. Let's work a bit on the legs now, because we haven't changed it much there. So usually what I do is just like pose it like this. Okay, so main problems are like up here. So .l, maybe .l, where is it now? There. Because it's kind of for the pelvis bone to affect. So now we have to change it on the rest of the stuff. So the body, weight paint, .l, move it a bit. I just found it helps to get a result. Okay, this is not working. Oh, I think that's the shirt. Never mind. Go to weight paint. Remove there. Okay, that's looking decent. Maybe let's just add a little bit so it doesn't clip through there. Okay, for some reason it's bugging out, so we can go to Start R if you want to paint in the middle. Go back to Start O. Could also just change the mesh slightly. That's usually what helps. Sometimes the view is clipping and you can't fix it. Just bring it out a bit. So it is a skin clipping through. So let's just remove. Okay, that's good. Okay, and then let's work on this little calf again. But maybe let's remove a bit from the back like that, and then apply some to the knee like this. That usually helps the shape a bit. Just kind of find a balance so it doesn't affect it either way too much. Okay, not the best, but will do. Let's see if we can. If the foot has any problems. No, not really. Sometimes the hands. Okay, something we've got to do. Select the sum, select the hand, Control P, keep offset. Okay. And now if we move it, the thumb will follow with. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so you can see that affects the entire hand for no reason. Okay. So weight paints, thumb, or thumb tip. That's fine. Okay. Go weight paint. Thumb base. As you can see, we don't want this to be infecting like the entire hand. So subtract. So there. Usually it helps just to pose it and then like affect it on the posed mesh, pose thing. Okay, we also have to change the skin. Okay, and go here. I don't really like this anyway. I'll just leave it off. Okay. Just trying to figure out how to weight paint this properly. Drag it down, Shift F. Wait, thumb tip. I think we need to change this hand. Yeah, it's getting a bit complicated to work with this. Finger tip, no base, no. Thumb base. Bit easier to work with it here. Just remove it from there. Not affecting the entire hand. Let's see if that helps. One thing that can help, like especially with this, is because it's so like close to the skin, is we can just delete. So just select everything other than like the top of the hand, like this, and then go to this. Turn on. Well, yeah, we've already applied the solidifier, and then just join it to the body, and then well, maybe just before I do this, let me just save the character like separately. So Shift D H. You just get a duplicate, and then what can be helpful is just selecting this whole hand piece, H, and then just L, selecting this whole piece, delete vertices, Alt H, and then join these two together with Control J. And then if you use M by distance, you see it removes 6 vertices, and then these are connected, and you won't have any clipping problems. Okay. That works. Fun. Cool. And yeah, that is weight painting. See you next one.